Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Welcome to Color of Music Collective's first panel of Black History Month in partnership with Def Jam and proudly sponsored by DistroKid. So just to kick it off, like I said, some brief introductions. We'll head into our discussion questions shortly after and then into our Q&A where you folks, the attendees, can ask the panelists your questions yourself using the voice audio capabilities. So we'll have everyone go around, briefly say your name, pronouns, company, position, and your clients. And let's kick it off with Theda.
Hi, I'm Theda. I lead the commerce and digital team for Def Jam, SVP of Commerce and Digital, and our clients are our artists as well as all our digital partners, everyone from Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, SoundCloud, AudioMac, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. If it's digital, we like to touch it.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. And I'll kick it over to you, Naya.
Hi, you guys. I'm Naya Fleming. I'm an A&R coordinator over at Def Jam. Some of my clients include, let's see, I've done projects for Danny Lay, Bobby Sessions, just the other couple developing artists too.
Great. Thank you. How about you, Chris?
Hey, my name is Chris Davis. I am the marketing coordinator here at Def Jam Recordings. Some of my projects have included Public Enemy, Jeezy, Big Sean, Janae Aiko, and so on and so forth. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We're matching Chris's energy tonight. How about you, Charlene?
Oh, hi, I'm Charlene Thomas. I'm the VP of Marketing at Def Jam. I've been in music industry for a little while. I don't want to date myself. My current projects range from a lot of the artists that you're well familiar with, from a fabulous Jadakiss, LL Cool J, all the way up to the newer current ones like Alfredo Bang, Grammy nominated and winner, Hit Boy, the producer, a new artist that we have developing called Maceo Guns, and and more. I have a lot. Oh, I'm forgetting one thing. I am doing the Coming to America soundtrack.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. How about you, Antoinette?
Everybody, my name is Antoinette Trotman. I'm SVP Business and Legal Affairs at the East Coast labels. Been doing this for a minute. I run the clearance team, so we're the ones who touch all the music, all the videos, making sure that we have the rights to put out our artist projects. I would say my clients, I guess I would be Def Jam, Republic Records, Island Records, and all the artists underneath on those rosters. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. How about you, MJ?
Hey everybody, my name is Michael Jackson. Yep, that's my real name. Everybody calls me MJ. I'm currently the promotions coordinator here at Def Jam. Some of our clients or projects that we're currently working on is Janae Aiko and Justin Bieber.
Awesome, thank you. And how about you, Ego?
I'm Ego. I'm new here, so I'm SVP Creative Director of Def Jam, work across the roster and for the brand.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks so much. So with that, we're going to kick it off into our discussion questions. And as we said at the beginning, please don't hesitate to throw your Q&A questions in the little Q&A box down below. And that will be our last segment of the night where you can speak to our panelists yourselves. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Mia for the first discussion question. Our panelists will jump in as they please, and we'll get the conversation flowing from there.
So our first question is, what are some ways companies can promote growth and a mentorship type of relationship between their employees?
Well, I guess I'll jump in and kick it off, and then I'm going to throw it over to Antoinette because she leads for the East Coast group, the UMSHE, which is our women's network group. But I think within Universal, we have a number of networking organizations along the lines of how people identify themselves through their ethnicity or through their you know, whether they're LGBTQ or I think these programs are wonderful ways to get employees across the different label groups to network with one another. I think regardless of what label you might be at, we all face similar challenges. And when you are in conversation with other people about their challenges, you might actually discover solutions that you didn't necessarily see for yourself initially. And then I'll throw it over to Antoinette because she's been instrumental with the Women's Network Group, particularly for the East Coast labels.
Thanks, Theda. So one of the things I do, I'm one of the, I guess, a founding member for the East Coast label group. We saw a need, you know, sometimes you don't wait for the corporation to put programs together. There was a need for building up women executives in the company. We are blessed. We do have a lot of women who work with us, a lot of powerful women, but still when you get to the very, very high echelons, it seems to be fallen off. So one of the things that we decided we wanted to do just on a grassroots level was just have forums, just small, just lunch get-togethers with women of all levels who could come in. Everything is just, there's no hierarchy in our group. It's all about if you have an interest and if you want to network, you come in, you sit down. We have different programs from yoga to meeting with executives in the company and executives outside the company. We've brought in some people from Spotify. We've brought in people from Instagram. We've brought in people from who had their own movie companies, just a lot of different things. And anything that the women and the company decided that they wanted to talk about, we figured it would be a good platform for us to have. And we've been doing this now for about 5 or 6 years. And I think it's very, 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 it's been beneficial to not only the women at the very top, but the women who've just come into the company.
That's amazing. And did you say, so that was for the East Coast you mentioned?
We have it across all the different areas. There's the West Coast group, there's the East Coast group. I believe a Nashville group started. So it's spanned the company. And this is well before anything Me Too, any of those. It was just really that we saw a need and we figured, let's do it ourselves. Let's get together. We might as well just go in the conference room and talk. And it's been a really, really great networking scenario for us. I've met people who were assistants. I've been able to bring in senior VPs, EVPs, anybody, just so that you can be in the same room, eating the same slice of cold pizza, talking about, you know, whether or not it's even feasible to be a mom in the industry, how do you network and what you do with your resume, from all different aspects across the board.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was a specific moment or reason that really pushed you to sort of spearhead that initiative.
I don't know. I mean, I come from a very strong female background family. I'm one of 5 sisters in my family. My mother is a very strong matriarch. And I have a tendency to want to reach out to other women to pull them in. Someone came to me with the idea and I thought it was amazing. And so we just decided, let's get together, 5 of us, and reach out. And we had Theda was actually one of our most well-attended and still talked about events. She brought in, it was a work-life balance discussion, and she's an amazing artist outside of what she does here for Def Jam. So we wanted to really talk about how do you develop outside and inside, and she was a great person to speak to. We've had Wendy Goldstein, we've had a lot of the different women, Nicole Wisqualco, Lisa Brunson. We just kind of reached anybody and everybody. We've had panels on finance and setting up your 401k. We've had panels on real estate. So, you know, I'm a big advocate of women going out there and getting into real estate and buying property and not waiting. So anything someone gives to me, I'm like, let's talk about it. Let's delve into it and see. Even if it touches 1 or 2 people in the room, I'm good with that.
Absolutely. And I think that's really cool to touch on the work-life balance, because I feel like most industry professionals that I've met or spoken with typically have some sort of side hustle or art or passion that, you know, they pursue on the side. So it's great to see that that's something that you acknowledge. And it's not always for rising professionals, like most of our audience, it's not really clear how to balance that with the music industry, because you want to dedicate so much to it, especially as, you know, you're just coming in and throughout your career. So it's really a great conversation to sort of bring internally. So I'm curious, can each of you speak on your personal experiences with a mentor, and how you met them and sort of how they've helped further your career?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I actually have different mentors, like for different areas and aspects of my life. But one of the most beneficial ones that I had, or have rather, is from actually a mentor that I met in college through the National Honors Program. His name was Professor Harrison, but I met him through there and also through a freshman honor study course. And we basically created and developed a very professional relationship, of course, as he was my professor, but also a personal one to whereas, you know, if I had any questions about grades or if I wanted to vent about family life or talk about my future and the things that I wanted to do to someone who would actually listen, you know, he was there for me in that sense, i.e. my career in music that I am now. He always supported me and geared towards me in that direction, even when, you know, especially during college, you know, you get sidetracked by so many different things that it's very easy to lose sight of the ultimate end goal, which not only is graduating at the time, but focusing on what you want to do outside of graduation. So he was definitely able to help me in a lot of aspects of my life. And I'm glad to, you know, have gotten to know him throughout some of the most important years. You know, I call him my college dad just because that's how he was to me.
That's awesome.
I can hop in. Actually, two of the people who I consider mentors now are actually on this Zoom. That's Charlene and Theda, who have literally saw, you know, I came from Gary, Indiana, and I moved to Jersey by way of Arkansas. So you can probably hear a little bit of the accent, right? So I didn't know anyone. You know what I'm saying? I currently there's no family members here, and so when I got in the door, you know, Theda came a little bit after me, but when I got in the door, these two individuals on this Zoom took me in and sat me down and really, you know, gave me as much game as they possibly could. Before that, you know, I had a mentor. His name is Dr. Maurice Gibson, and he saw something in me, gave me my first real job when I was in Arkansas, and really just introduced me to individuals who were connected to individuals who now work at Def Jam. And I think that's really important, that your mentor sees you and understands what you want to do, and also to help you get there as well. But, you know, I'm grateful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I want to give MJ a chance to answer real quick. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm just curious, Chris, was that mentorship especially important to you, especially being from Arkansas, maybe where, you know, it's not like a New York City or an LA or an Atlanta where it's not a music industry hotspot?
It is so different being you know, migrating from Arkansas to Jersey. You know, the first culture shock was, you know, a 2-bedroom, a nice one. It's like $750 at Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? You try that up here, you know, you're in somebody's class. You know, so but what I would say is this, right? My mentor connected me to individuals that because he saw something in me that made sense to him, right? We don't see ourselves as more than mentees sometimes, but in many cases, we are a reflection of those who mentor us, right? And so having that connection, I didn't know anybody here, but he did, right? And so because I was seen as his mini me, for lack of a better word, I was connected and given to the right people. So that's what I'm thinking.
That's great. Thanks. Sorry, no, I'm
Yeah.
David. And
Yeah. This is piggyback on what Chris said. You know, we both from Arkansas as well. That's my guy. And you know, just to get in the music industry, it took a lot of networking and meeting people who would give you an opportunity. You know, over time, I've developed a lot of relationships with a lot of people who I've been able to call my mentor. But I think the most impactful mentor that I had, his name was Dan Posner. He was the SVP of promotions at Atlantic Records when I was an intern. And you know, I was straight from Arkansas, super raw. I didn't really know how to write an email or nothing, and he really set me down and taught me everything that I need to know about just life and just the music industry as a whole. And it was weird because like because you know, he's an older white guy and I didn't see him taking me in like he did, and we really clicked, you know, when I was an intern. And he really, you know, every time I needed advice or if I needed money, whatever the case may be, he was always there for me. And you know, I owe a lot of credit to him, because if it was not for him, I would not be in the music industry. You know, after I was his intern, you know, obviously I was looking for a job, and he was right there with me. Like he said, no matter what, just give him a call. And every interview I had, he reached out. And you know, the reason I got to Def Jam now is because he knew my boss and he put in a hell of a recommendation for me. And if it was not for him, I'm so grateful for Dan. But yeah, that was my guy.
And so you met him through your internship at Atlantic, right?
Yeah, when I was intern at Atlantic in 2017.
And did you guys just click through you really following up and keep staying connected after your internship? Or how was it that sort of mentor-mentee relationship really formed for you?
Yeah, like when I first met him, I didn't think he liked me because he was like a super jokester. But like over time, he was just, what he used to tell me all the time was that because he knew, you know, where I was from, that a lot of people wouldn't give me that opportunity. And he said he saw something in it and believed in me. So it took a lot of just, you know, reaching out. Like I still reach out to this day, you know, even though it's, you know, it's been a few years, I still reach out to this day, like once a month, just to say, hey, what's up? Or, you know, we talk music or whatever. But yeah, just staying in contact with him, reaching out for life events, his birthday or whatever he got going on, and just saying what's up. But yeah, I'll stay connected.
Yeah, I think that's a really important lesson for some of our listeners, is to stay in touch with their supervisors or even coworkers from their internships after the internship is over, because, you know, not even just in terms of like, you'll never know when you need a recommendation, but because that relationship can form into sort of a mentorship even following your internship. So I think that's a really good takeaway from that as well.
Well, I have the flip side of the story. Not to date myself, but back when I started, music was pivoting as it was. It was coming out of dance and rock, and it was changing into hip hop on a more mainstream level. So I started back with I was at Loud Records, and that was during the time of Bad Boy, and Death Row started shortly after, and you had the So Defs. So it was very male dominated. And as a female, we didn't have too many of those, and we didn't have a lot of opportunity to be mentored. So I learned pretty much just as I went along. I learned a little just from trial and error, to be honest. And so now, fast forward to where I'm at now in my career, UMG has a mentor program, and I made sure I was a part of it, because it is important for us to be able to mentor, you know, you guys that are young executives coming up. And the other piece I want to say is mentors don't necessarily have to be at your job or the industry you're in. They could be the people that are on the outside that support you. So I may not have had a mentor, but I've had a lot of people that have supported me. And, you know, you need those little bit of encouragements to make it along. So I mean, you guys are definitely fortunate now, because there's a lot more access, even with UMC, I'm a part of that. And that was, you know, passing by one day and saying, oh, I want to be a part of this, and information. And that's information and communication is how you're going to get to these things. And it's important to just make sure you take a part of it.
I'm similar to Charlene. there really was no formal mentorship program. It was the boys network, and then it was everybody else. So what I developed was a peer network. People at my level that were doing similar work as me, or people at my level within the organization, around the organization, that were my peers. People that I could share information with and they would share with me. And, over time, all boats rise. I mean, I've known Antoinette over years, like a long time, okay? But, we came up in the business together. So I know that, while that's my peer. So if I got a question and I need some help, I'll call Antoinette. And she would do the same. She would call me on something. And that pretty much goes for anyone else that I've come up in the business with. So many of us did not have mentors, but that doesn't mean we don't have people who have our back.
Not to put you on the spot, I'm curious to hear from you, Antoinette, as well, since Theda sort of mentioned.
No, that's fine. I think Theda, Charlene, we all kind of in that same space. I mean, I came into the industry, gosh, it's funny because I just was talking to Dougie Fresh on the phone this weekend. And so that's how far back, like Dougie, around the Bad Boy time, worked with DMX before he came on. And it was absolutely a boys network. But I found some, aligned myself, like Theda said, with some really smart men and women in the industry. People who I knew would have my back and people who I could learn from. One of the things that was really important for me was partnering with someone who didn't have, who had qualities I didn't have, so things that I wanted to learn from. So one of the things I wanted to get was that kind of brashness. Some people who were out there who would just had the drive and the aggression sometimes that I was like, oh, I need to partner with that. I need to learn some of that. I need some of that to rub off on me. And so I would seek out people who had things that I was actually lacking, that I thought I was lacking, and where I thought some of the things that I had could benefit them. So I've come up, and one of the things I think why I'm leaning towards being a mentor now is because I didn't have one in the industry. So now I know how important it is to have that person, that support, somebody you could just call and say, I'm thinking of doing this. And I could say, don't do that. Or don't phrase it that way. Or, I know you're mad and you're angry and you want to curse everybody out, but this is how you should go about it so that you can work with your boss and have them see you for the person that you believe you are, right? Just sometimes it's just about a turn of a phrase. Sometimes it's just about sending an email, because you have to realize everyone's human, right? And sometimes when you're that person, that artist or that manager is a complete pain in the ass, don't always match that energy. Figure out how you can move that energy to your benefit so that they see you as an ally. So those are the type of things that I had to learn, scraping and hustling on my own, and with the help of people like Theda and all the different women and men who I came up with. And now I feel like it's my obligation to give that back.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like each of your experiences, specifically with Theda and Charlene, maybe taught you how to be a really great mentor. And, clearly I know Chris, mentioned you all as his mentor as well. So clearly had a lasting effect as well. And I also think that sounding board for your ideas, especially as an incoming professional or younger professionals in music, is so, so crucial and so clutch. And, it's, if you don't have that, it could seem more, scary for some people coming into a new company or a new role where they're not exactly, sure what the next step is. So I think that's really, really crucial. Was there anything you wanted to add as well, Ego?
I can relate with all of the statements that sound like they didn't have mentors. So I had really strict parents and I was a really wild kid. So I think that got me through, but I'm working actively to be the mentor that I wish I had. So that comes with a lot. I know before you mentioned live work balance. Like it's just a conscious decision to wake up every day and like actually be there for someone that asks you a question, like really give them the full answer, even though you didn't really receive the answer when you were coming up. And I think some people take it as a rite of passage or a hazing process. It's like this weird thing in music where it's like, oh, they have to go through what we went through and all this nonsense. Cat, it's not the street. Just give the information. As Theda always says, you have to move from a place of abundance, not a place of scarcity, right? And I feel like mentorship comes with just a sense of community. If you feel like there's a community around you, just give the information. It'll come back to you. So that's where I'm at with it.
For sure. I think there's a gatekeeping that I know a lot of our LGBTQ and POC audience references as well with the music business. So it's helpful to hear you reference that too. Yeah, thank you everyone for being so vulnerable and sharing those experiences. With that, I'll throw it over to Mia for the next question.
What is the best piece of advice you've gotten from a mentor in your life?
No pressure.
Like I said, I didn't have a mentor, but I had some people that gave me some great lessons. And God bless the dead. I remember Chris Lighty saying to me, an idea is just an idea. It's the person that executes it. Because everybody can have an idea, but it doesn't mean anything until it's executed. So I remember that. He told me that about a specific record I did. And I learned a great lesson.
I'm guessing you can't share much more about that specific record.
Oh no, it was Quiet Storm remix.
Oh, great.
And I got the record done. And it was just, get it done. We're going to put it out. And he took it and put it in Too Deep and synced it other places. Like he took the record far. And then it became where it was just like, they did this. And I was sitting in the background going, hey, but I did the record. And
right.
It was an idea. It's the person that executes it. And so I learned that lesson.
That's great. I also wanted to add, if you felt like you've mostly been a mentor, then switch up the question to say, what's the best piece of advice you would give to a mentee?
Yeah, that was about probably my greatest piece of advice so far.
Go ahead, Ego.
Greatest piece of advice that I would give, or something that I've learned, is that it's a choice. It's greatness, success, winning, whatever you want, it's a choice. And it's a choice you have to just make every single day. So whether it's a marketing plan or just an idea or just creative direction, whatever it is, it's a choice to stop and think, okay, does it stop here? Does it continue to go? Will this go from one project to another? Will this go from one artist to another? Will I take this energy and move to the next day? It's all a choice, because you can make the wrong choice and it can ruin your entire day. Or you can make the right choice and you can save a project or save an artist. So, yeah.
My first mentor, just growing up, obviously, was my dad. And he would wake up super early in the morning for 5:30 for no reason. And he would wake me up. And what he would always say, it'd be like a Saturday morning, I want to sleep in. He would always say, you can't make no money sleeping. So, I mean, you can now with stocks and real estate. So we weren't at that point. But his biggest advice was yo, you can't make no money sleeping. So I kept that with me, obviously through life. And even, it's I have no room for laziness. I always just try to work hard and make it happen. So that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I take with me everywhere.
You still wake up at 5:30?
Yes, and that's because Nikki and Noah are texting me, my bosses. But yeah, I'm up at 5:30, 6 a.m. So it literally came in handy because I'm an early bird because I have to be.
Oh, I'm right up at that time of the morning too, MJ.
I am not.
Must be nice.
I am.
We're going to start texting you, Chris. We're going to start texting you to wake up.
I see them.
Chris catches it.
and I go back to sleep. I think the most helpful advice I've ever gotten was, you're allowed to feel every emotion. You're allowed to feel. You're not allowed to quit. You're allowed to feel You know, whether it's imposter syndrome, like you might not belong in the room, you're allowed to feel discouraged. You're allowed to feel like, you know, you're not doing something right. And the opposite of that too, you're allowed to feel happy as well. But through all of that, you're not allowed to quit. You're not allowed to quit, right? We you know, this industry is the most competitive thing I've ever been a part of, right? You know what I'm saying? There are individuals, it's not even people on this call, you know. I know for a fact that a good 74 of these people right now want to be where we are on this panel, right? So we're not, but you are allowed to continue to try and do not get discouraged based on how you feel at a certain amount of time. You're allowed to feel whatever you want to feel for that moment, but you're not allowed to quit. That's it.
That's good, Chris.
I'm gonna jump in. Oh, sorry, Naya, were you gonna say something? I think, I don't know if I heard this, but I've definitely had to tell people this. Sit at the table. Don't make yourself invisible. I think a lot of people put barriers up from themselves, you know, forget all the obstacles that we all face, you know, Black, female, however you want, you know, Black male, short, I don't know, whatever you want to say, but a lot of people put up their own barriers and don't sit at the table. I've absolutely had to speak to people after the fact, to some of my mentees. And when I noticed them in a meeting and they were quiet and they had all the information, and they're the ones who had the information, they put themselves in a box. It's like, don't put yourself in a box, speak up, sit at the table, know that what you're saying is relevant. You know, and a lot of times, you know, they'll say, well, I don't even know what I'm to say. I said, believe me, 70% of the people in here talking, all that talk, don't know what they're saying either. They just saying it with authority, you know. It's just, sometimes it's the tone in your voice, sometimes it's the posture in your body, but definitely speak up and contribute and don't make yourself invisible. Sit at the table.
Yeah, that was perfect. And honestly, just to piggyback off of that, I want to say the best piece of advice I've ever gotten was to always have an opinion. And I learned that not just from one mentor, but from all of the women I've seen and studied in the music industry. As you can see from the other woman on this call. But just because it's important to not only get your name out into the industry, but to also develop a solid and a bomb reputation attached to that name, you know, which you can only do if people know who you are and what you bring to the table. So in my case, or in all of our cases rather, whether it's what you think about an artist or a track, or what you think about this career path, and, you know, just advising other people in general. I really feel like, you know, the best piece of advice I got was to always have an opinion.
I got one thing to add, and a couple of you might have heard me say this, but I think the guiding light is be, do, have. Anything you want in life, you have to decide who you need to be to have the things you want, and show up as that. Because sometimes you got to fake it until you make it, and while you're figuring it out, you will learn the things you need to know to have the things you want in your life. So be, do, have.
That's great advice. Thank you. And I want to take a second just to acknowledge, you know, something that I know Chris and Antoinette briefly touched on, I felt like, which was imposter syndrome, which I know we also touched on briefly in our Clubhouse chat last week. But it's something our audience and our listeners, you know, resonate with a lot, is feeling like they aren't meant to be in the rooms, that they're not, that their opinion is invalid, especially as people of color or queer people. So I think, you know, it's really powerful, and there's so much power in everything you guys just shared, because all of our listeners right now, you know, look up to you folks because you're in their dream positions. You're in the music industry, you're at a record label. So many people want to be working directly with artists. And I feel like everything you just shared, you know, you've each become a mentor to our listeners, and there's so much power in that. So thank you for sharing. So how does, I know some of you had mentioned that there wasn't always a way to find a mentor, wasn't necessarily those opportunities. So how would you suggest that someone could go about finding a mentor today? And what should they look for to find their perfect match?
Network. To survive in the entertainment industry, but no matter what part you're in, music, even if it's sports, network. I got my first job at Loud because I went out from Sunday to Saturday, and the guy was like, how do you get in the clubs for free? And I was like, so he was like, yeah, come in the office, we're gonna give you a job. So it's about being out. Well, I know we can't be out now, COVID, but there's Clubhouse, there's other ways, and some of y'all probably still go out anyway. But network, your peers, everybody's 6 degrees of separation. I mean, I feel there's nobody in this world I can't get to be honest with you. If I felt like getting a Barack, I could find a way. So I think that's just key. Look at Chris. That's the way you find, that's how you'll be able to find mentors and peers, because you can have a peer network too, as well as a mentor. And then how do you know? Everybody got something to give. Like that saying, people are in your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime. Everybody got something to give. You'll learn something. That's just my opinion anyway, so.
Yeah, I think that LinkedIn right now, especially, you can get connected with anyone if your connection note is good enough or professional enough.
I know my IG, I get all sorts of DMs, so people are definitely out there networking. They figuring it out.
Are you responding though?
I take one day out of some time to just go through my messages of people that I don't know, and it really is just about how hard you go. Like, I answered somebody yesterday. They were saying all kind of stuff to get me to just pay attention to their page. So, and I did it.
I think,
okay, cool.
I think for me, it's like, because a lot of us, it may be a location thing, but get real loud about what you want to do. Somebody's going to hear you, right? For me, coming from Arkansas, nowhere in the music industry, right? But because I said what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be loud enough, people then began to, oh, okay, so this is what he wants to do. He's sure about what he wants to do. I can't get to Def Jam, but I know somebody who might know somebody. I know somebody who might know somebody, and I know somebody who might know somebody else. Continue, your networking starts with you, knowing who you are and what you want to do, and continuing to be as loud as possible in those rooms. If you are a photographer or want to be a photographer, hey, I'm this. I'm about to be this. You know what I'm saying? And you say it to enough people, someone will know somebody who's in that same field. Best advice that I've gotten so far.
But you can't just talk about it. You got to be about it, right? So if you're a photographer, take pictures. There's lots of people that say I'm a photographer, but I'm like, you just got pictures of your cat on your IG, right? Now, I'm not mad at that because I'll be posting pictures of my cat too, but show that you're a photographer. I mean, so, it's really about your brand identity and actually living up to the values of your brand if you think of yourself as a brand.
Yeah, you gotta definitely shoot I'm sorry, you want to go ahead? You go ahead, good. All right, cool. So I would say, man, always shoot your shot. It's just like networking is just like when you try to talk to a girl. You just walk up to them and you just be like, this is what I like to do. This is my art of networking. This is what I like to do. If I see an executive that I want to be my mentor or I want to network with, I walk up to them, I say their name, like, yo, thank you for being an inspiration to me. They like that because you gotta, butter them up. Yo, thank you for being an inspiration to me. Congrats on making 40 under 40. It was dope what you did with X, Y, and Z project. That was like a super dope thing. And I'm like, oh, and just offer like, yo, if you ever need anything, just let me know. That's the key. Offer something. It's like, yo, if you ever need anything, like you can't help, but just be like, yo, if you ever need anything, I got you. and you see them again and they remember that. And that's, to me, it's like the art of networking. So multiple times you see a person and you keep offering to help and things like that. That's how you build a genuine connection, and that's how you get a mentor, in my opinion.
Yeah, everyone kind of pretty much hit the nail on the head. And I mean, like, in regards to literally taking bits and pieces of advice from everyone, because it all makes sense. I mean, with what Charlene was saying about networking, that's true. What Chris was saying about being loud and promoting yourself, and that tied into what Theda was saying. And honestly, you have to promote yourself. Like, you have to not only make yourself known out there, but what you want and what you want to do. I mean, I would like to say that, like, all of the people that I've met, the mentors that I've gained, the mentors and the peers that I've gained, I would like to say that they happened by chance, just because, you know, either I was out covering an event for an artist and just so happened to meet somebody. I met Lisa Brunson when I first got to Def Jam, and she was one of the first women that kind of like really, you know, took me under her wing and became my mentor in that area. I would like to say they all happened by chance, but looking back at it now, I would also like to say that it was by the work that I put in making myself known and doing the networking on my part. And like MJ said, offering your services rather than just taking or asking what other people can do for you. You know, we can all learn from each other. Mentees can learn from mentors and vice versa, but you won't know that until you actually create and develop that relationship firsthand.
I wanted to just say too, I love what I think it was Chris who said, you know, be loud, speak. And sometimes loud is not just, you know, loud voice. Some people don't have that personality, but absolutely speak your wishes into existence. You know, don't just keep it in your head, let it come through your mouth. And it doesn't have to be to someone in the industry. Just speak your reality into existence, right? Just by saying, this is what I want, to a friend, to a neighbor. I remember, I think I got into the music industry, and I don't even remember it, because at first I was going to be all politics. I was just, you know, I was the got out there, I rallies and takeovers. But I remember thinking, I just said something one time to somebody that, you know, I love music and I wanted to get into it. And it just came back to me. And somebody came to me, probably like 3 people past the person I spoke to, and said, oh, so-and-so told me that so-and-so, and that you were interested. And I didn't even remember that I had that conversation, you know? So just absolutely speak what you want into existence.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for sharing. I think with that, since we are cutting it pretty close to time, we're going to transition into our Q&A. We have 2 really great questions lined up. And first up from our audience is going to be Jessica. Hey, Jessica, can you hear us?
Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're all good.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys for, having this discussion. It got answered a little bit, but I asked, do you have any specific tips for reaching out to people you admire for a potential mentorship, even if you don't work under them? So maybe someone you just see on LinkedIn that you really like what they're doing, things like that.
Yeah, maybe the question could be, since like you said, we touched on it a little bit, you know, what can people do to stand out on LinkedIn in a connect message, or, you know, what gets Charlene to answer a DM? I think that's how we could answer.
Yeah.
Right.
My first initial thought would just to be genuine and authentic about who you are and what you want. And also, I would say in your proposal, because that's what I would call it in regards to like connecting with someone. Just, yeah, be genuine, authentic in who you are and what you want, and make it known that, you know, you genuinely want to create and develop a relationship with this person, what you're trying to do, what your goals are, and also ask how, you know, you can be beneficial to this person as well, like what services, you know, you can offer and provide as well.
would just to add on to that, I would say research is key. If you see someone that you want to mentor you, I feel like if you know what label they're at, you should look up the roster. You should figure out who's coming out. You should see what song is coming out. You should see who's in your area. Then you should ask the right questions. And then I'm pretty sure you see like that album roll. This is something I did. So this is something I did for right before I got into music. This is what I did with Rock Nation. And I met someone that would eventually tell me to work with them at Columbia Records before I got to Def Jam. I kind of reached out to them and I told them as a fan, as a Brooklyn boy and whatever, a Jay-Z fan, this is what I would do. And I had an entire presentation for it. And it was just like the opportunity of a lifetime was in the lifetime of that opportunity. I knew that Watch the Throne was coming out. I knew I wanted to get in on Watch the Throne. I knew what they were doing. I knew the Tisha references. I knew all this. I knew that they weren't going to work with anyone. I knew that they weren't paying because they were Rock Nation. So I was like, all right, let me just give this info over and let's see what happens. And that turned into a very, very, very like good friendship. And yeah, the rest is history. So I think you just got to do your research and just attack, like just be relentless with it.
And there are a lot of organizations right now who are specifically just doing mentorship, right? So when you do, you don't have to just DM an individual, just go online and put in mentorships and menteeship, you know. And I know there's one my friend is working on. She set up a organization just right after George Floyd was killed, and it's called Unlock Her Potential, and it deals with mentoring women of color. So she had I think there's about 70 mentors on there, including like RZA. And so you can go on, you can look at the different people who you might want to mentor you. And it's specifically for women of color, but you know, there's in film, she has film, she's got music, a couple of different people on there, and you just basically write your letter and send it in and say, I want to work with you. And I got 2 mentors from that. There's a ton of other venues right now. Really, people are kind of delving into this right now, that you can just apply and see who are the mentors, and maybe you can hook up that way too.
Yeah, the Music Biz Association is running a mentorship program. They also have a scholarship program for HBCU students. As they also are running literally virtual conferences seemingly every 2 weeks. So there's lots of opportunities. It's just, you don't have to be located in any specific location, though it does make sense. There are a lot more opportunities, especially when the world opens up, in centers where there is a lot of music, film, TV. And I wouldn't even be attached to that it has to be with a record company. Just has to be someone that actually can help you fine tune and grow your skill set, because your skills are transferable across multiple industries.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway here is something that was said prior in the panel. I can't remember exactly who said it, but in some ways, or in a lot of ways, you are a reflection of your mentor. And it's really more of the reciprocity in your relationship that I think reflects the value in that relationship. So, you know, always be sure to, you know, offer what you can, you know, whatever that may be. And I think that's where the real value comes from. Thank you, Jessica. That was a great question.
And just to add on to what Theda said, yes, remember, like, I know you guys are aspiring here to probably be at a label or stuff, but this job function is everywhere now. Nike has an entertainment division. You got Amazon Music, you know, like there's just a lot of places that this skill set transfers to. So you have a lot more options than we did back when. You know, explore. Don't just limit yourself to record companies, because there's hedge fund people that are buying publishing and streams and starting companies. So there are a lot of options. Explore, definitely explore.
Definitely important to, you know, definitely important to keep your options open. One more thing I did want to circle back to that Ego had said that I thought was important was And we touched a bit on it in Clubhouse with MJ and Chris. And I know, Chris, you'd mentioned you sent a marketing rollout with something about Christmas carolers, with that sort of idea. I believe you said that. And I think it's important to reach out and really show the executives that, you can create a marketing rollout, or you can create something from ideation to execution, and you can prove to them that you have those skills and you're passionate about that. Okay, yeah, we have one more Q&A question, and unfortunately, Graciela cannot ask it herself, but she wanted us to ask it. So Graciela asks, if any one of you had to hold leadership staff accountable throughout your careers for the lack of opportunities provided to employees of color, could you share how those conversations were started, along with tangible ways that came out of those conversations to sustain accountability?
That's a very tough question, because
That's definitely a Manelio question.
prior to
Yes.
prior to George Floyd and all the social justice activity, that was not something that was even an opportunity to have a conversation about.
Yes. Yes, definitely the times from myself, Theda and Antoinette, I know that was not a conversation way back when. You guys
Yeah,
are,
well, you bring it up, you're fired.
yeah, you guys are very
So-
fortunate now, so keep it going.
I actually left a couple of jobs because of voicing my opinion to like labels we all love, And I'm like, so we're not gonna say anything about this, and then you gotta make a decision. You gotta stand on your own too. So yeah, that's a fairly new thing, but you shouldn't back down from it. You still should say something, and I'm pretty sure now you'll get a chance to. It might not be everything that you want to do, but there might be a little window for you to like, spark that change wherever you are.
And
I mean, what we're talking about is institutional
yeah.
structures within these organizations. So if you're going to bring it up, have a solution. Otherwise, it's just a complaint. And if it's a
Yes.
complaint, they've already stopped listening.
And they send it to HR and you're out of it for sure.
And please be mindful, this is just not applicable to the music industry. Like, these issues are in corporate America, period. So no matter wherever you are, like, just please hear what we're all saying. And it does not apply here. And it shouldn't stop here. Let it go everywhere.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I personally feel like with us having been able, to receive these opportunities to speak out about this, I feel like especially for labels and just people who are responsible of quote unquote staying on top of trends, because this is such like been an ongoing issue and has been trending like more and more, especially recently. It's kind of like forced different record labels and different companies to want to have that conversation with their employees.
There's definitely been a shift. I think it started a little before George Floyd, but there's definitely been a shift in the industry and corporations in general to wanting what they call diversity. The problem with what I found in the music industry was when I first came in, it felt diverse. A lot of times, but it was attached to whatever music was hot at the time. So when hip hop was like ruling, it was, we got to get more Black and brown people in here. And then the genre shifted, right? And then as soon as the genre shifted, I felt like the executive went through a color change, too. It's like, wait a minute, where'd all the people go? Where are they? And then it came back and it came back in. And so it's just this, I don't want it to be like a constant wave in and out. I would love these corporations to just recognize talent, period. Whether, just doesn't matter what color, doesn't matter what gender, doesn't matter what sexuality. They don't tend to do that. And that's on us too. So when we get into those positions of power, we got to hire. We do have to speak. Sometimes I'm not afraid to speak and say, listen, we're not diverse enough. We're not representative enough. But I'm also at a point in my career that, if I'm out, then it's all right, I'm gonna be all right, but I do feel comfortable bringing it up to the powers be. And I happen to have a boss who's who's okay listening to that. And I think he wants to have that type of a unit. So I feel comfortable in my space, but I have recognized that not everybody can do that. And sometimes you have to learn how to do it, right? Sometimes it's the quiet conversations, not in the big meeting. Sometimes it's just dinner, you know, sometimes it's just, you know, the one-on-one, and you just kind of bring it up. But getting yourself into a position where you can actually hire and make those changes, I think that's what we should be striving for.
Absolutely. Really important answers, really important question. Thank you, Graciela, for that question. Really important to acknowledge that the time that Theda mentioned of these conversations not really happening prior to George Floyd was only a few months ago. Definitely let that sit in a bit. Thank you so much, everyone. I know we're just at about time. We do want to wrap up with a quick little fun wrap-up question. And I know our listeners really would just want to know what each of you are listening to right now. So if you want to drop your favorite album or song that you're listening to right now, that's our wrap-up question. Chris is thinking hard about it.
Yeah,
You want that from us?
Yeah,
sorry, MJ. Oh, we got to promote
No,
a kind of conversation. Bobby Sessions, I'm a king.
there you go, Bobby says.
Yeah.
I haven't stopped listening to Kanye West Jesus King since it came out. So I'm gonna be honest, I listen to that album every day. I'm gonna be honest, I have not stopped listening to that album since it came out. I listen to that every morning when I wake up.
I listen to that too. That's like going to church.
Honestly, my favorite thing to do is go on Spotify and I type in Nasty C's Black and White because I freaking love that track. And I hit go to song radio, and anything that plays after that track is fire. And I do the same thing with Lucky Day. Yeah.
Oh, so you're driving all those algorithmic streams that have been.
For me, let me see. From Gay, Indiana, I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. That's the only one we got. Michael and Janet, you know what I'm saying? We went there, you know what I'm saying? It's for other people too, but you know, they didn't make it. Oh, 219, yes. Anywho, that made me so happy. But yeah, this today I listened to Logic. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the first concert I've been to in life, and this gentleman by the name of Justin Duran made that happen for me. So yeah, those are mine. I know.
I was listening to I like Coffee. I like her energy. You know, she's always positive. She's real vibey. She makes me happy.
I'm usually a Reasonable Doubt Jay-Z guy, but ever since 2021, I've been on my whole like therapy thing. So Donny Hathaway, Extensions of a Man is the one. Donny Hathaway, Extensions of a Man is the one, and that's all I have to say about that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. Charlene or Theda, did you guys want to have anything?
I pretty much listen to Speak Like a Child, Herbie Hancock. I listen to that album every single day. That's what I get dressed to in the morning.
I'm promoting my Coming to America, Bobby Sessions, I'm a King, featuring Megan Thee Stallion. So it's I'm a King, I'm a Queen.
Awesome. Great.
Let's celebrate ourselves as kings and queens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Seriously, some really incredible advice given out tonight. We can't thank you enough for joining us tonight, for our awesome panelists and our really great audience as well, for your really great Q&A questions. I'll throw it over to Mia to officially close us out for the night.
Yes, thank you all so much for tuning in and to our wonderful panelists for joining us tonight. If you guys want to know anything more about our next panels that we have coming up, definitely tune into our Instagram or check out our website on our events page if you want to find out more. But we have a lot of really great events coming up related to Black History Month, so definitely stay tuned for that. But with that, thank you all so much for coming, and thanks again to our panelists, and have a great rest of your night.
Thanks so much, everyone.